It's Frontier Opening Bell. We're back on the block for the second trading day of the week. It's a Tuesday, the 5th of December, and this is how we're getting the trading day started here. Let's just walk you through, as it were, the closing numbers for some of the Frontier African markets. A very strong positive day from Zimbabwe. Stock market, the GSE in South Africa also finished in the green on Monday, the first start of the week. The Nairobi stock market came back strongly, 1.46%. That's a very strong upside to the all-share index above 93 and a few notches there. The Egyptian stock market came back from a negative Sunday, which is the start of the market week in Cairo, to Monday, 2.8%. That's a very strong upside to the EGX 30, 25,265. The BRVM fell by roughly 20 basis points. The Nigerian market fell by 0.66%, standing at the doorsteps of 70,946. The Ghana stock market also fell Monday by 0.66%. So a very choppy Monday for the markets in West Africa. East Africa, Kenya market, the NSE, took it all the way up by 1.46%. The market was tepid in both Uganda, Tanzania, as well as Rwanda. Then, of course, you got the GSE and the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange leading the pack in Southern Africa. We saw a few notches in downside in Mauritius, by the way. But let's just move on and look at the top stories from East Africa. Of course, the whole issue around inflation is still there. That dipped slightly to 6.8% last month against 6.9% in the previous month. Not so large size, as it were, but that's something that President Ruto's administration could use at the Kenya Central Bank moving forward. Kenyan banks, dollar holdings around a record 966, nearly $1 trillion shillings at the end of September, as Kenyans change their shillings into US dollars, keep them in the banks, but that does not really help you. Some folks are advising you should invest in mutual funds and all that. I don't give investment advice. That's what analysts say out of the Kenyan market. Because you got your dollar account sitting down and the cash in dollars piling up in the banking sector in Kenya, trying to find where the money goes. You just keep it there and sit in idle. You just got little chunk of change if you get what the banks will be paying you. Equity Group has finalized, Equity Group Holdings has finalized the takeover by 99.9% of Rwanda's Compagnie Generale de Banque. That's one of the banks in Rwanda, and that's now putting Equity Group Holdings in the front seat of the banking space in East Africa, continue to expand its footprints in East Africa and down to Central African region, the CEMAC region, that is Ethiopia. Good news, signed a $600 million wind farm deal with Amir Power of United Arab Emirates, part of the deal that Ethiopia has been able to cut at the ongoing COP28 summit in Dubai. Then you got the World Bank revising Somalia's growth down to about 2.8%. That's the latest forecast. So let's get into West Africa with the Ivorian Mohamed Akande, named the first African CEO of PwC. It's the first time that an African will be the head of one of the big four advisory firms in the world, of which PwC is one of them. UBA, United Bank of Africa, headquartered in Lagos, has won the Bank of the Year award from the Bankers Magazine, which is a subsidiary of the Financial Times of London. 8 other subsidiaries of UBA across Africa also won Bank of the Year in their respective jurisdictions. And congratulations to Tony Elumelu, the chairman of UBA Group, and the rest of the team. And the US firm Baker Hughes says it's looking to invest in Nigeria's petroleum refinery industry. That's the downstream sector of the Nigerian oil industry. That's sorely needed. And Baker Hughes, of course, is that American oil giant. And global banks are facing negative outlook, property stress in 2024. That's according to Moody's. Says there'll be pressure because there'll be tighter monetary policy environment. So the cost of funds will be high. Some banks will have to recapitalize, as we have seen the move in Nigeria. You're going to see a lot of pressure on African banks in terms of FX liquidity issues, and the cost of funds at the Eurobond could be a very major pressure. Exposure to sovereign debt instruments will also be some concerns for sovereigns or banks in Kenya, in Ethiopia and in Kenya, in Egypt, and a few other countries, according to the Moody's report. You want to read that up, which came out Monday afternoon. And a BV mark, that's the stock market for the 6 countries in Central Africa within the CEMAC region, have floated a new set of indices. The first is the BV mark All Share Index. They also have a composite and, of course, another set of index. We'll be looking into that for you in more details on Frontier Africa reports as we expand our coverage of the Central African Republic within our purview. Okay, let's start checking with Southern Africa. And this was no good news. This is speaking truth to power. The central bank governor, Leseja Kagyango, says the 2024 general elections in South Africa is a major investment risk for his country. And that's taking it all the way down to that crushing election next year, which will be 20 years since the first black political reform that we saw in South Africa, during which the late President Nelson Mandela, was elected the first black president of South Africa. It's been 20 years on, and this 2024 elections will be a must-watch. But South Africa is facing a lot of economic headwinds, in particular from electricity, utility, as well as logistics from Transnet. There's a whole lot to deal with. And now the central bank governor, the Reserve Bank governor, says it's a major investment risk. However, some folks believe that the stock market, the GSE, will perform decently next year. Zimbabwe decided to hold interest rates steady at 130%. That is highest in Africa and around the world, by the way. And NAMPAC, listed on the GSE, says it's lost about 4 billion rand in its full year earnings because of FX liquidity issues and exchange rates. Then, of course, you guys Zimbabwe planning a new tax on the wealthy as well as lithium. The Bank of Mozambique says inflation will remain high until the end of the year. Let's finish off in North Africa, shall we? As always, that's where it all started. The EFDB group has kicked off the creation of 4 green banks across Africa. And that's part of the announcements from the EFDB at the ongoing UN Climate Summit in Dubai, which ends on the 12th. Egypt, however, is cutting its growth forecast to 3.5% for its 2023-2024 period. Morocco and Oman in the Middle East have signed an agreement on sustainable development, while Tunisia is targeting 30% renewable energy by the year 2030. Some of these are fallouts of the COP28 summit, out of which we've got about $57 billion in pledges so far over the last 5 days. The summit still had about 7 more days to go. The final draft of the COP28 resolution will be a tough one, as the Saudi energy minister says the country is not ready to take its foot off the pedal of fossil fuel production. Let's do it there for today, the 5th of December. I am Bosin Mafai. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Go online and watch this show again. And of course, please, you can follow us on all our social media handles. Go to our YouTube and watch this show as well as other shows and content that we produce on a daily basis.